I know a lot about overtime. I'd hated to give overtime. I used to hate to pay overtime. I shouldn't tell you this. I'd go out and get other people and let them work regular time. I used to hate to pay overtime.
This is what I mean when I say boomers are stuck in the past, times have changed, and hard work isn't enough to get by anymore. Because even when you try and work hard, these mega supervillain CEOs will do anything they can to try and avoid paying you the money you've actually earned. I want to talk about it today because I'm a Gen Z who works in marketing, and if I know one thing, it's when these two pair up, that's a team I don't want to be a part of. But all these recently resurfaced clips of the off-brand Gritty mascot admitting he would do anything to avoid actually paying his employees the money they earned reminded me of one boss I had that I think a lot of us can relate to at a job that already wasn't really paying me enough to get by, who was absolutely impossible to please because his employees were either not working hard enough or we were working too hard and he didn't want to pay us for the work. It was a 9-to-5 in-office job, but sometimes because I work in marketing, we would work events on the weekend and there was supposed to be special overtime pay for those events. But in order to get around actually paying us properly, instead they would pretend to be like super chill and be like, oh, just come in like an hour or two late on Monday, it's fine. And I knew what they were doing the whole time. They were trying to get less hours on the clock to avoid paying us literally like 10 or 20 extra bucks. And he also intentionally had an office that overlooked the parking lot because I'm pretty sure he sat up there all day and just clocked who came in and out at what times. Because if our boss ever let us go home to work from home for the rest of the day, we would all get a very angry email sent to the department about how we aren't working hard enough. Or if someone tried to take a lunch break, they'd get an angry email about how they have to stay late that day. And my favorite, of course, is that everyone in the office was always getting yelled at for showing up a couple minutes late or leaving a couple minutes early every day, which fine. So I personally would always show up 10 to 15 minutes early every single morning if I could, or I would stay 10 to 15 minutes late every day. But of course, once I walked in the building, I would make sure to clock in. That also meant that every single week I would have 1 to 2 extra hours on my timesheet that they would have to pay me for because those little bits of time add up and you want me in the office bright and early. I remember literally at some point also getting emailed from HR about it and being like, okay, well, I'm confused because you all complain when we don't work hard enough and then you complain when we work too hard and it's really hard to show up exactly on time because there's snow here in Minnesota, so it's kind of a one or the other thing. And no matter what capacity I work at here, I'm still hardly making enough to cover my rent anyways at the end of the month. So you're right, Stacy, if you're sensing that I don't care anymore, because there's no way to please you people. You would rather complain that everyone is lazy than pay the people who aren't. There's absolutely no win in that situation. On the other hand, if you open up Kamala Harris's new 82-page economic policy plan, you can see why she's the one getting endorsed by unions, and also the one supported by hundreds of the world's leading economists. Because she fights for workers' protections and overtime pay and wants to raise minimum wage. And her goal is to actually try and uplift the middle class, not to go on stage and admit that she just sucks as much of the life out of it as she can for the lowest price possible. That would be these guys right here.